I'm just going to talk to the people out there real quick and let you know. Now, you've heard me talk about my influences in my life, and you know that Jim Henson is a large part of that. You know that I grew up at Sesame Street, just like every kid did. You heard me talk about how I made my mom get HBO so that I could watch Fraggle Rock. I cried until she got it for me. That is the reason why we still have it to this day. And I am a huge fan of The Dark Crystal, which we'll elaborate on a little bit later. Saw this multiple times in the theaters, and now we have the highly anticipated sequel coming out, and that is why I have here, and this is why what I do is I consider to be at times so special, and I'm so fortunate to do it. I have here Lisa Henson. Lisa, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
And I just want to talk about a lot of things because, as I said, I consider myself very fortunate to sit down and talk to anything or anyone that has had such a huge influence on my life. If you don't mind, one of the reasons that we have you here is so that we can talk about the upcoming prequel to The
Yes.
Dark Crystal, which is The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance.
All Thra is at risk. The darkening corrupts everything it touches.
What is the darkening?
Lisa, before I even get into talking about the Dark Crystal, if you don't mind, I'd like to kind of talk about you and your career because,
Okay.
before we start talking about the things that people are very familiar with when it comes to, the Muppets or the Dark Crystal or anything that younger audiences might be familiar with, I was really impressed. I mean, because you work with you work in a lot of children's entertainment. And I'm sure every kid that has come up that's a millennial or Gen Z right now has heard of Sid the Science Kid. I was surprised to learn that as far as you being in your career as a producer, you've actually you've been producing for years, and you've produced a very dynamic amount of work in your resume.
I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, we've produced three big shows for PBS, Sid the Science Kid, Dinosaur Train, and a newer one, Splash and Bubbles. They're all beautiful CG shows that have great science curriculum. Somehow I kind of stumbled into the role of being a producer of STEM television shows for kids. So from Sid the Science, yeah, Sid the Science Kid was really the first like true STEM preschool show. We actually had to create and work with academics on a preschool science curriculum because there wasn't one. But this new Dark Crystal show is much, much bigger than our children's series. It's a monumental effort, undoubtedly the biggest puppet production ever done.
Really?
And we're very, very proud of it. We really feel that it's just come out kind of just the way we would have hoped it would. And there's really just nothing like it on TV. So I don't think we have any competition from anybody. Like, this is it. This is the big puppet series. But hopefully people will be excited to check out something with puppets because it's totally different.
Long ago, I was surprised to learn that you've done you've done stuff that I guess is a little for more mature audiences too, like high crimes. I mean, your name is on that, right?
Yes, I was a studio executive for decades, really. I was a studio executive at Warner Brothers and at Columbia. Then I was, for a brief time, an independent producer. I had a producing partner, a wonderful woman named Janet Yang. And we had a company called Manifest Film Company. So we made a couple of films under Manifest. And then in 1999, 2000, I came to the family company and have been here ever since then, about 20 years. And, it was kind of like my natural destiny to wind up at my own family-run company. But at the same time, I brought back a lot of experience from my studio jobs and from being an independent producer and just, understanding what the world outside of Henson is like, because sometimes we feel like we have a little walled kingdom here where things are just done the Henson way. And when I came here, I had a lot of experience, and so it's been fun to kind of meld it all.
I'm sure it's very nice to have the family business to go into, but you also have to work in Hollywood, and we've all heard the controversies about Hollywood and the lack of diversity there, including for women. And with you and having your names attached to some of the films. I mean, if you go to this woman's, I'm talking to the audience, if you go to this woman's IMDb page, you can see just, how it's all over the place, which is a great thing. But I've always said, I believe that women behind the camera is a great thing, just as much as being in front of the camera, probably better. How was it for you as a woman, being a producer and being a producer on big names with big stars at the time?
Oh gosh, I don't even know which one what would you be talking about? Well, when I was an independent producer, the first movie that I made was The Zero Effect with Ben Stiller.
I actually had that clip up right here. I know your name was
on.
And
that was actually that was a delightful movie. And it was an absolutely delightful movie. A first-time director named Jake Kasdan, who has done Jumanji now and is a big deal. It was really, I had a great kind of first producing experience. And then some of the movies we do now have stars in them. I produced Alexander and the No Good, Horrible, Very Bad Day, which had Steve Carell and Jen Garner, who were amazing. But I think a lot of what we do at the Henson Company is not star-driven. It's sort of high concept or, kind of driven by the craft of what we do. Interestingly, Dark Crystal is sort of both, because we went through the whole shoot with just our puppeteers performing every role, and they were amazing, and the level of talent and nuance, delicacy in their performances is really what gave the characters the full expression and drama of the scenes. But then we did a full star cast of voice actors that were added in post. So in a way, we made a non-star show and a star show, because the voice cast is so huge. I mean, we have so many amazing people doing voices. You almost couldn't have bigger than that. But yet we went through the whole show making a very craft-driven, no star personalities, no movie star perks for anybody. So in a way, we made both.
My viewers and listeners are going to want to know, obviously, and I'm sure you've probably answered some of this before, but growing up, and then you're talking about the family business. I'm sure for many people, they're thinking that growing up as the daughter of Jim Henson, every day is full of magic. Every day, is puppetry. Every day is colorful. But for you, I'm sure that it was all normalized. If you wouldn't mind, could you tell us anything about the stuff that we probably don't see, or the things that are so normalized to you that just people outside of that don't see? Maybe like when your father and you had moments together when it was quiet and nothing was going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that it was normalized, because as a child, I and my 4 brothers and sisters, we were all virtually raised on the sets of these shows. So, it would be fun for us to be in the workshop where the puppets were being built, or where, like crazy props were being constructed. And that whole workshop atmosphere was very kind of heightened. The personalities were heightened. The level of like crazy cool things being made was amazing. But that was normal for us. And then also we were on the set a lot, and the way puppet production is done is also quite different from regular live action shooting. Everything is on raised sets. So the puppeteers are puppeteering like this, and then there's a set that starts here. So there's a vast area underneath the set, there's like tunnels, and then monitors are down there. I spent a good amount of time like kind of just like tucked somewhere out of sight, but able to see everything on the monitors. So I had my own experience as a child of these productions, and and as you said, it was normalized, and actually our home life was pretty normal. Like we didn't have any puppets at home or having dinner with puppets.
That's going to be disappointing for people to hear.
People have fantasies of like, oh, it must have been a very interesting, strange puppetry family. But no, I mean, we had a normal family, but it was very artistic. So, what we did is we just kind of went crazy with art projects.
Let me just say that, and I got to geek out a little bit. This is why this is so special to me. I saw The Dark Crystal probably I saw it 4 times when I was in the theater as a kid.
In a place outside time lies a mystical realm. Struggle to possess the Dark Crystal.
I read this novelization. I wore that book out. That book was destroyed by the time I was done with it. And I also have to say that I remember things when I was that you can't even find online anymore. I remember when I was a kid, I used to watch this show called Stand By, Lights, Camera, Action on Nickelodeon. It had Little Nimoy as the host. I can't find the episode, but he was so in love with the Dark Crystal. He stopped. It was almost scary because Leonard Nimoy just stopped and looked at kids, and it was terrifying. He's like, "Go see it. It's not a puppet show." And which brings me to ask, after so many years later, why make this prequel? Why make this now? Does it have something to do because streaming is a new format that they can take a chance with this film when studios won't now?
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, every time is the right time for Dark Crystal. So I would have been happy to make this 15 years ago or 10 years ago or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I've always wanted to get back to the world of the Dark Crystal, whether in a TV series or in a feature film. And actually, we had developed both. We had developed a feature film sequel, and we had developed an animated series that was a prequel, which would have been 2D animation. We were kind of inspired by the scope and ambition of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So we were developing a TV series kind of like that. And then Netflix, when we talked to them about that television series, they said, why are you not bringing us a great big puppet epic television series? And we were like, oh my God, that's amazing. Really? We were stunned. And so we just started to talk practically about what that would really mean, how much that really would cost, whether it was feasible. We did a big test for them because they wanted to know like how much the same would it be and how much would it be different. So Louis Leterrier, our amazing director, shot a test that showed Gelfling doing actions. And we learned a lot, and we learned that we didn't even want to use even as much CG as we had in the test. We're like, we're going to just strip this down to hardly any CG. And, it's funny when you were showing that clip of the movie, I am so aware that Louis Leterrier studied the cinematography of Ozzie Morris. He studied the way that film looked. And so on a very fundamental level, the series is so consistent with the movie. But what people should know is that it has a bigger scope, has action, has, pacing and adventure. So in that sense, it feels more modern. And Louis has shot the puppets so differently than they've ever been shot before. The camera is constantly moving. The puppets are moving. There's not a hint of staticness about the show. And, sometimes shooting puppets can be hard and they can feel static. So, we just have so much, movement and a modern sensibility in the series.
Yeah. Yeah, and this was because I told you I'm a huge fan of the movie, and I just soaked up a lot of things at the time, and I always go online to see if I can find these things. Your father did an interview on Entertainment Tonight, I guess back in '82, and at the time he talked about there doesn't need to be a sequel to this movie. He felt like it was a very self-contained story.
The story itself doesn't lend itself to a sequel. We will not follow it with a sequel to this picture. You could tell another story in the same world, but the story itself is complete.
Now, is this why you chose to possibly do a prequel instead of a sequel?
Yes. I mean, and no, that's not exactly. It's not because he like told me from a television show not to do a sequel, but the logic is the same. You know, that the film came to such a complete conclusion, and the Skeksis and Mystics, who were the best characters, disappeared, you know, from the world. Mm-hmm. So that's the most difficult part of doing a sequel. We actually had prepped a sequel movie for a while, and we came up with a device for how to bring back some of the Skeksis and Mystics. In the end, you know, we really have completely shelved that sequel film, but we published it as a graphic novel. So as we knew the fans were curious about it, mm-hmm. and had read many announcements that it was going to be made, so we had our partner company Archaea published a really beautiful graphic novel series of it. So you can see the story, but there's no question in my mind that the earlier period is richer and more unknown. And so, you know, it also, because we're going to an earlier period, the Skeksis are a little stronger, younger, they're a little more colorful, and the whole world is more colorful because it hasn't yet been decayed and brought down to this really sort of bereft place that you meet the world in the film.
I look at when the movie came out. Again, that was 1982, and I think the movie is more successful than people actually give it credit for. At the time, that's when E.T. came out.
Look at this picture.
And it was the 16th highest grossing movie at the time. But critically, when the film was out, I believe that it was kind of mixed. Some people didn't get it at the time. Some people didn't. I don't know if they were able to like just understand this world that did not have any human characters to relate to. I think that threw some people off. But now today, this movie has such a cult following to the point where it's actually more mainstream now. And this prequel is so the show, the series is so people are looking forward to it so much.
Yeah.
Given the reception that the original had back in the day, and doing this again now, is there any nervousness at all bringing this out?
How can we not be nervous as our baby is going out there on August 30th? You know, we're so proud of this show, and you know, Louis was sort of saying the same thing, but I can't speak for him. But I can speak for myself that this is the project that I feel has come out the closest to how we ever envisioned, you know, a project to be. So, you know, our ambitions for the show have been fully realized, and you never really get to say that. As everything I've done was very good, but what about if we could have done that, or what if we could have done that? This show feels to me like it's come out extremely well. Mm-hmm. So of course that makes us just more nervous. Like, it came out so well. We think it came out well. We really hope people will embrace it and watch it in great numbers.
Lisa is a very busy woman, so we have to cut this short now. But you probably heard her say this already. I'm going to repeat it to you. Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance, August 30th is when this is coming out. I know this is again very highly anticipated, and like I said, it's an honor for me I'm looking forward to this, and I never thought I'd be sitting here talking to you about it. So
well, thank you so much. I appreciate that you have learned so much about the Dark Crystal, and I think it seems like it came from your childhood, but you've stayed abreast of Dark Crystal, and that's great.
Oh, all these years. I haven't given up on it. I've been the one that's been keeping the hope alive. But sometimes I wake up and say, you know, that new Dark Crystal, that's happening because of me.
People like you, yes. Fans
Yes.
make things happen.
All right. Well, Lisa, again, thank you so much. It has been truly an honor, and I will be there watching like everybody else. And I hope people watch this, please, because if it's successful, then we will get more stories from this world, which is what I would love. So thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye-bye.